But I think the most impressive part for Danny is that he's so weird. So for him to decide to like be himself from moment one is like a very like bold choice. Just an example, when he met my brother in the airport,
I have an explanation. They are very, very similar.
my brother and I like look like twins, kind of. Yeah, has a beard. And so Danny, like first moment in, like my brother has been flying for like 25 hours, and Danny goes up to him like after saying hello, and he goes, "Whoa, you look just like Michelle." And my brother's like, "Oh yeah," and then Danny goes. And like goes in to kiss him. Like he looks exactly like me. And like now Danny's confused. Like that's a bold man-to-man joke to kick
That
off.
can be very, very bad.
Welcome to International Love Story, the podcast about intercultural relationships. My name is Christina, and in today's episode, I would like to welcome Michelle, who's from the US, and Daniel, who's from Colombia. And the interesting part about today's episode, at least for me, is that I met Michelle beforehand already. So we saw each other in person on one of the meetups in Buenos Aires I've organized. So it's the first time I'm actually interviewing someone that I've met before already. So I'm super, super excited for today's podcast episode. And with this being said, let's just dive directly into it. Thank you so, so much for being here today and for willing to share your love story. Let's just start. Who are you? What are you doing? Tell us all about you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for having us. We're excited to be here. I'm Michelle. I'm from the US.
And I am Daniel. I'm from Colombia. I just want to say that English is not my first language, so take patience with me, but I love to be here.
Yeah, we've made a secret sign before, but don't worry about this. I mean, I find it interesting because in our case, it's the same. So English is not my native language, but it's also not just native language. And that just adds an extra layer to the way you communicate. And I just love it. It's just so interesting. It's super challenging. It has a lot of potential for miscommunications. But I feel like before we start into that, like how you communicate, about your cultural differences and everything you would like to share with us today, let's just start with how you guys met. So how did you meet and when did you meet? Like what's the setting?
What's this?
US,
Sure, I'll start it off. So we actually ironically met like 2 blocks away from where we now live. We also big note here. We live in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So both of us aren't from here. I've been here for 3 years.
and I'm for 18 years.
18 years. So a lot longer than me, but we're both kind of foreigners here. And we both went to go see like a mutual friend sing in a local bar. And so it was like a friend of my friend. I'd never met her before, but I love live music. So my friend was like, oh, my other friend's singing. I think you're going to like it. So I came to watch her, and Danny.
She invited me just for fun, and I don't have anything to do, so I just go, yeah. And that was the first time that I saw Michelle. I think I thought my first thought was, oh, she's so beautiful. She had a really curious face, you know? She looks like she was discovering the world. And
Yeah, I don't know if confused face is like what we all go for when we like go out and we're trying to like seduce a man, but like the lost and confused baby discovering the world for the first time was
yeah,
my
the
value
thing,
prop.
the thing is, Michelle is so beautiful, and she can be more flirting or more, I don't know, more atrevida.
Atrevida. Oh, like mischievous.
Yeah, but she was so kind, and she was looking for all the place, like she was in something new, and that was so cute for me. And she called my interest in that moment, and was so great. That was the first time that I saw her. So in that moment, I say, oh, I need to make something for meet her.
Yeah, well, okay, that was a fun first cultural moment. Is like people from where I'm from aren't like smooth or like charming, and so like the first time he saw me, I could tell that someone was looking at me, and I just kind of like awkwardly looked over, and he like so like charming, like he took his glass and was just with his eyes like just in on me, and I literally like dropped my drink and looked at the ground. I was like so awkward about it because people from where I'm from like aren't as overt when they're interested in somebody or like have moves like that. So yeah, that was like really different for me. And then we both just went and watched the show like separately. And then afterwards, and I did though mention to my friend that was with me, she was like, "Oh, that woman over there is the one who's gonna sing tonight." And then that's her boyfriend. And I was like, "Oh man, the cute guy at the bar." And she's like, "No, the other guy." And I was like, "Okay, good." Because we just had like a whole moment there. Magical. And she's like, "Oh, okay." And yeah, we both went and watched the show. And then afterwards kind of like introduced ourselves to each other because he like came over to the group I was in and like introduced himself. He's such like a jokester. He's always the center of attention. So like I couldn't understand Spanish very well at that moment. But I could tell that he was like really funny because like he would just say something with just this straight face and everyone would laugh. And I was like, "Oh, look at this guy." And he literally like kissed my hand when he introduced
Yeah, she
himself.
can escape from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just really turning on that Colombian charm or whatever. But it was precious. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
No, I was decided to meet her and make some connection. So I start to make all the things possible. Like I start to talk with a lot of tables close to her and make a lot of fun and joke. And until I get her table, I invite them to another bar because this bar was close to close. So I have one election is one choice.
Choice.
One choice is I need to take her another bar because I want to create a real connection because I am very interested. And the first time was very physical. I'm not going to lie. She's so beautiful. But in the other bar, something happened that called me more the attention about her. Like she's so fun and she have a lot of funny comments and she's so smart. And in this moment, my English was so bad. Now it's not so good. But in that moment was so difficult for me. And she doesn't know speaking Spanish. Right?
I think our level was like pretty the same in terms of an inability to to speak. So we were kind of doing a little bit of a mix, but yeah, we were communicating.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
this night I made it possible for talk just with her after I asked to your Instagram,
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
And that was the first night. Was great, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
You stayed connected via Instagram, and I guess obviously you saw each other afterwards again. I just love, Dani, how you strategically like went from table to table to table, slowly moving closer to Michelle. It's just like most probably thinking almost the whole night, how do I get there? How like do I approach her? Also interesting fact that you kissed her hand. I'm not sure if that's a cultural thing or is that a you thing?
That is the funny thing because I'm not a player. I'm not a guy with a love of flirting or this type of seduction. I never do that. That is not me. But when I saw Michelle, I say, "Oh, she's really cute. I really want to meet her." And that day, I don't want to talk with anyone. I sit far away to the other tables. I was in a bad mood, but I saw her and say, "Oh, she's beautiful," and her expression is very kind. It's different. So I start to move everything for get her attention, and everything was very well.
You were like a little diplomat. Like he went to like the girl who sang and he's like, "Hey, tonight's all about you. Like you sang so well. We're gonna go out, we're gonna celebrate you." And then he went to another girl who was sick and he's like, "You've been sick all week, okay? Like this is your time to go out there. Like we're gonna like have an energetic night, like come out of the shadows." Like he like really works for the things he wants. So I gotta give it to him. He kinda gets the credit for our relationship for sure.
Yeah, no,
Look at
so
you.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm like making up for it, but yeah, he put in the effort.
So what was your impression when he approached you, when he gave you a hand kiss?
Oh, I mean, I thought he was totally ridiculous. Just because, like, he seems like he just has this energy that he's like good with women. And like, I'm not even good at like walking in a straight line while sober. So like, I'm not like a smooth individual or like suave in this life. So I was kind of just like, oh, this guy's like barking at the wrong tree. Like I'm not like a sexy hot woman that like you freaking dudes. Like, I'm just gonna trip over something in her room. And me too. So like, I just like, yeah, I didn't really take him seriously, but he was so funny. And like, I was definitely like, I thought he was like so cute or whatever. And I was like so shocked that someone was that like flirtatious with me. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm a young woman traveling the world. These like sexy foreign men are like raising their glasses and kissing my hands. Like, this is what living in your youth looks like.
And was a lot of funny things happen because she go to the bar in another car and I was in my motorcycle. So I start to drive close to her window just
Like she rides motorcycle, like
trying to be hot.
on the seduction, yeah. But he's like really like the sweetest, like I mean, honestly, dorky guy, but he just doesn't lead with that. So I like totally misread him in the beginning, thinking he was like this player, this like Casanova. But I was like, oh, whatever. Like I'm here for a good, like I'm here to laugh, and so I definitely like really liked him. But like we were with a whole group of friends at this point, and like I really am so cautious of not like ever excluding someone in the conversation. So I was trying to like give everybody equal attention and stuff, and like I couldn't tell whether he was like a flirt or like flirting with me. So I wasn't quite like, I didn't understand what was going on fully until later when he was like persistent, I guess.
Yeah.
What happened after you said goodbye that night?
So we got each other's Instagram, and then I went and like, looked at his profile, and ironically, the person that brought me here to Argentina, I came here with like a program to do an internship in my field. And so the coordinator of that, so like the reason I'm here was like a mutual friend of ours. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like I should ask about that. Like this is a massive city. That's like kind of a weird coincidence. So I was like, oh, okay, I have an excuse to message him. So I messaged him like, oh, like how do you know Mateo, this one person? And he's like, oh, we went to university together. And I was like, that guy's literally my emergency contact right now. Like what a small world. And he goes, I'm gonna be your new emergency contact. I'm like, okay.
I was so confident, to be honest. But again, I am not like that. No, I promise. I promise to all people that I'm not like that. It's just I was very, I don't know.
Smitten. We have an expression.
I was shocking with you. It's like
You also acted like you had nothing to lose, though. You're like,
yeah, I don't have anything to lose, to be honest. It's just if I have to make something, I have to make something in that night, and I don't want to just cause a little impression on you, so I don't have anything to lose.
but
But yeah,
so then we talked on Instagram for a while, and it was like kind of a disaster because we couldn't communicate. Like we were trying to send each other voice notes, but the majority of the voice notes were like, "Can you repeat what you said?" Like I don't understand.
no, but the first time we started to talk with message, and obviously that was more easy for me.
You can like
I
translate
can
it.
translate, I can write, I can take a time for answer. We spent like 2 or 3 days talking for message until I invite her a dinner. Obviously, I was very nervous because it's my first time real just with her. And I say, oh, I need to speak in English. I don't have another option. Could be very bad. So I invite her, and that was the next date.
And that was 4 years ago, you said, right? So once
It
you
was-
arrived, Michelle. 2 years ago. So recently. Oh,
Yeah, recent. Yeah, so I moved here 3 years ago, and then I met him like
okay.
into being in Buenos Aires, but 18 years for him
Mhm.
into being in Buenos Aires. Or no, 16 at that point.
Yeah, 16. Yeah.
Were you planning at that time, Michelle, to stay longer in Buenos Aires? Or was it clear for you that you're just going to stay a couple of weeks until the program ends and then you'll do something else afterwards? What was your status at that point?
Yeah, so I came to Buenos Aires with a plan of only being here for 3 months, but I was here for like a year before I met him. So like I ended up already being like, oh, I love it here. I'm going to stay here for longer than I thought. I could work remotely, so it was like pretty flexible to just pick your life up and go somewhere. And then when I met him, it was like I was already living here. It wasn't like I necessarily stayed for him, but I would say like kind of, I probably wouldn't be in Buenos Aires right now if it weren't for our relationship. Like he definitely, now we'll kind of travel everywhere together, but he definitely like kind of anchored me here a little bit in like a positive way.
So you had the first official date, talking in Spanglish, I guess.
I think was more humor, corporate humor, or we make jokes, dumb jokes.
Right. Like
Yeah.
like the type of joke that like a first grader makes, because then you have the same language capability because you could only talk like we had the capability of a 6-year-old. So that was like the only like intellect or humor we could work with. But like I remember it like wasn't awkward at all. Like somehow we made it work. I think we're both like just pretty naturally goofy. So when there's like a lull in the conversation or like this moment of like this awkward situation when you're an adult, and I'm sure you get this, Tina, like being in another country, like there's that awkward moment where you like can't communicate with another grown human being right in front of you. And it's like so uncomfortable for some reason, even though it's like understandable because you speak different languages, but it's like so awkward because you can't like communicate personality. You can't like just do like this like pretty basic human need to do. But like I don't remember it being like awkward. Like we just
That was very easy. We connected with the humor and then was like I don't know, like a talking with a friend. But obviously we have the intention to meet more the other person, but was not tense, not
It wasn't awkward. Like I felt like first dates in my first language were oftentimes more like kind of that awkward energy, even more so than this. And that was one of the first things I told my friends when I went home is I was like, I feel like this is just like two grown adults who have done this before, like dating, where it just felt like supernatural and like none of that nervous energy was there, which was nice.
yeah, it was funny. It was very, very fun.
I love that you've built that connection despite a little language barrier and that you've been able, to really get to know each other over the past few months. I mean, dating since 2 years. So I'm wondering, like, culture-wise, are there actually big differences, or are there specific differences that were in the beginning of your relationship a little bit more difficult to handle? Anything specific, maybe a specific situation you have in mind, that caused a misunderstanding that you had to find an agreement on?
I think in the beginning we were like pretty light. Like we were pretty just not surface level, but like maybe like a little bit. Like the people, but I don't know whether it's my circles or culturally, but I say like where I'm from, people get like really deep really quickly. And we were just like pretty light and breezy and joking around for a long time.
Yeah.
But I'd say our cultural clashes maybe came more so when we had to like resolve conflict or work as like a team a little bit closer versus like just dating and enjoying each other. That was like supernatural.
Yeah, the first time was more meeting her and maybe I don't understand everything and I ask and she resolved my doubts and we tried to figure out the communication. But was a lot of activities for fun, for I don't know, like not talk, but anyways, Michelle loved the communication and I know that was very important to her. So I tried to speak more in English and she tried to speak more Spanish. So that helped us because we are trying and you can see the intention in the other. So you try with more heart. And yeah, no, but the first time was easy. Was very easy.
Yeah. I think we were like pretty forced to get to know each other more slowly.
Mm.
Whereas I feel like maybe in the past, like even in friendships or relationships or like any sort of relationship, I feel like I've always like gone in really hard in the beginning, like what's your deepest shame, like in the first conversation. Whereas like we're forced to kind of get to know each other slower. And like even now I feel like we're always just learning new things. I mean, it's only been 2 years, but we're still just like always learning.
Yeah, and or sometimes I say something with my English that is very basic, and she make us weird face and say, "Oh my God, wait, that did not that I want to say." Wait, and I search the real word and I show her, and she gave me this patience for wait for try to understand what I try to say, and the same with her is she says something in Spanish that say, "Oh, that not have reason, but it's okay, we will figure it out." So yeah, was very very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally love those misunderstandings based on like those funny misunderstandings based on the language as well. I mean, even though our we communicate in English, Nacho and I, and I wouldn't say my English is too bad, but in the beginning when we started dating, it was horrible to be honest. Like it was just basic school English, and I didn't put it to use very often. So it took me a long time to really build a sentence. He was super patient, but I felt super dumb to be honest.
Yeah.
So in our case, it was very similar. Like in the beginning, more like getting to know each other, fun and easygoing. We had also the whole long distance relationship thing going on, but that's another story.
Yeah.
And over time, you really get to know each other. And this is when things obviously get a little bit more serious, that you start like planning ahead on the long run. Even though if you don't know where you're going to end up, you know that I want to be with this person and I want to make that work because we function as a team. We just function so well that I really want to know where this is going to lead us. So that was our experience. So that when you say, oh, my English is not so well, it's not so good, it could be better, I definitely feel you. And I've shared that story as well on Instagram a couple of months ago, but the first time we kissed, actually, Nacho was asking me if he could kiss me. And I asked him 3 times to repeat that sentence because I wouldn't understand. So he had this very thick Argentinian understand in English. And I did not understand him proper. So I asked him 3 times, like, huh, can you please repeat? What did you just say? And he thought I'm joking, but I was serious. I really didn't understand him. So, and that's the story we like to tell nowadays, or I like to tell at least. So what is your language nowadays you communicate? And is it a mix of both English and Spanish? Is it Spanish or?
Yeah, we have moments.
Yeah.
Because, for example, in the beginning, I think was more English.
Beginning with Spanish.
Well, we have different.
Yeah, probably just both putting in the effort.
Yeah.
We're like, we're just speaking the other language all the time.
Yeah, we was changing, but again, in the first time, I tried to make more dates that we have to dance or just make a lot of things that is not talk all the time. And that was weird because I always want a date like that. Is the type of dates in Colombia. You make activities. You just don't sit in a table and talk. Now in Colombia, we go more to dance. We want to make funny things. So yeah, and now we are talking sometimes Spanish, sometimes English. That changed with the level of patience.
Yeah, whoever's more tired,
Yeah.
really speak in their native language. So then when we're both tired, it's kind of this awkward limbo of like, But I think it's also sort of like seasons in the relationship. Like, I think in the beginning we noticed, so we were bonding over the fact that like it's harder to be funnier. It's harder to be funny in your second language. And so we're like, let's both give each other the same disadvantage. And I would speak in Spanish and he would respond in English. So we were always speaking our second language to each other. And then there came a point where I think he noticed that my Spanish was a little bit better than his English because like I live in Argentina. And so then he was insecure. So we only spoke Spanish. And then my parents wanted to meet him. And he was like, I have to have great English. So in like 3 months, he improved more in English than I have in Spanish like my entire life. I got a college degree in Spanish. He like just bypassed me. And even now I would say his English is probably better than my Spanish, which is like pretty embarrassing considering I live in Argentina. A lot of our friends only speak Spanish. I got a college degree in Spanish, but no, his English just because he decided one day better than mine. So yeah, now we kind of speak a mix.
It's just fun that you can do that you switch from one language to the other, depending on the day and then also the occasion. Like, for example, getting to know your family, Michelle, so that he knows, or then he knows, okay, I have to speak English very soon. Let's just keep our my English is very bad right now. So let's keep our conversations in English, because a lot of couples I've interviewed in the past, they stick to one language, including Nacho and I, and it's quite rare that they switch back or that they're even able to switch from one language to the other, because at some point you're just very comfortable in your relationship in one language. And it's usually the language you got to know each other. This is why, okay, at that point I also wasn't speaking Spanish when we met. And who knows, maybe in our case it might switch as well. But again, it's super, super interesting that you're just able to adjust very, very flexible, and that you also stick with that. I find that like you have all my respect for this, because I can imagine how difficult that is.
Well, I think
I don't feel difficult. For me was natural. Like I know that I have to put my energy in English for meet her parents, but I don't know. Everything was very slow.
it was
But very easy. It's because we have the intention to meet the other. We don't try to. In the first time, maybe more me. I was more intentional that I want to have something with her. She was just meeting me.
I did come around. I don't want it to seem like this is our dynamic. Then I was like, oh, this guy's pretty great. I gotta hold on tight.
Yeah, no, but it was very easy because I can saw her intention that she want to spend time with me, and I really want to spend more my time with her. So it was just funny. It was just kind conversations, and we have the patience for understand the other, for ask again and again and again until we can get a conclusion. But we had the intention, so was not difficult, to be honest. And that made me feel that was something different, because was totally different to everything for me. For the first moment until I start to get more of her, to understand more her, or to know more about her life, was totally different to everything that I always do in my last in my last situations. Yeah. So yeah, was not difficult for me.
I think it also kind of goes back to what you said. is like, I think the awkward part in switching is if you only spoke one language for like when you got to know each other. For example, Tina, if you and I right now started to speak Spanish to each other, we would probably feel a little bit awkward because we've already like had this kind of like foundation, our relationship, Tina, in English. And so it's like there's this like awkwardness about like going backwards. Like if I have like a 25-year-old English level, but a 7-year-old Spanish level, I feel awkward if you already know my 25-year-old like intelligence, and then now I'm trying to compete with like my 7-year-old ability. And so, which some would argue that I only have a 7-year-old ability. I think like that's was almost probably an advantage, was that like we didn't just start with one, because even with like my local friends here in Argentina, even though now like my Spanish is a lot better, I feel just like almost this imposter syndrome if I try to start speaking to them in Spanish like fluently, because I feel like they're just gonna, even though they never say this, I feel like they're gonna be like, who are you trying to fool? And so I think it's like pretty advantageous that we kind of like started off on this like equal like difficulty, and yeah, now it feels authentic to speak both.
Okay, but back to your story, guys. Did you meet her family already, or are you about to meet her?
Did you already meet my family?
Sorry, what?
Ya conociste mi.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I meet them, and that was very, very easy. I was very cute because it's a family very similar to my family. And I don't expect that. It's
Yeah,
like
that's
they are so energetic, they are so funny, they are so
like crazy.
crazy,
Both of our families
but
are
are great people with great values. And they are, I love them. I love her mom, her dad, and her brother. They are so sweet. They are so kind with me. And for the first moment was easy to with them. Again, we share the humor or the activities to make a lot of things, or I don't know. I understand them very, very well for the first moment. So was very great.
I think you also have this power to like be yourself from like moment number one, which is like a really great power for anybody. But I think the most impressive part for Danny is that he's so weird. So for him to decide to like be himself from moment one is like a very like bold choice. Just an example, when he met my brother in the airport,
I have an explanation. They are very, very similar.
my brother and I like look like twins, kind of. He
Yeah.
just has a beard. And so Danny, like first moment in, like my brother has been flying for like 25 hours. And Danny goes up to him, like after saying hello, and he goes, "Whoa, you look just like Michelle." And my brother's like, "Oh yeah." And then Danny goes, and like goes in to kiss him. Like he looks exactly like me. And like now Danny's confused. Like that's a bold man-to-man joke to kick
That
off.
can be very, very bad.
Danny just committed to it, and that's like very my family's humor. So I thought it was so funny, but yeah, it was very natural from the beginning for sure, which was like very fortunate. We both have like pretty like larger than life families that are like I don't know, not afraid to embarrass themselves, like really like to laugh and be silly and goofy and crazy, and so that's nice.
Yeah, for me it was very important that because my family is very special. They are very weird people, funny, crazy, weird people, and I love them. But I always be with fear to present my girlfriends because they made things that is weird.
It's
beautiful.
lovable.
Yeah,
She's just lovable.
but Michelle was perfect. Was perfect for meet them. Like I was so fast. She met my family. We traveled to Colombia, and she be part very easy. And she was playing with them, and that never happened. And that was great for me. Like how she can be part of my family, and my family is very important to me. I think it's the most important thing in my life is my family. And she just was part of them. She was making a song, weird dances, things, and I love it. I love that.
Just the fact like we grew up across the world from each other, like completely different cultures. Like if our families were in the same room, they couldn't communicate because they speak different languages, but like they're so similar. And it's just this like my little meta brain goes in like circles over this of like it's just so fun that like I don't know, just humans can be so similar when they're just like from such different societies, generations, and it's great. I love it.
Michelle has mentioned in the beginning, I met you in person, and I will never forget the ice cream situation. I just love how you make everyone laugh around you.
Right.
And unintentionally, exactly. But you know, I feel like you're taking life very like light in a positive way. I mean, obviously you take it serious, but you're just like, okay, whatever. I don't I don't care what others are thinking about me. Like, let's just have fun. This is what we're here for. And as soon as you're around people, at least this is what I imagine, you just go all in and you just be 100% yourself. And you just, not ignoring everything around you, but you might not just pay a lot of attention to what's going on around you. And that's also reflecting very much in in your Instagram profile, as I think, because the pictures there, they're just so hilarious. Like, they really made me laugh, especially the ones the first one you pinned, Michelle, the cow costume. I think that's so lovely. And I was just like, I was seeing your Instagram profile. I was just like, that's reflecting her 100,000%, at least how I got to know you, even though we don't know each other so well. So having two of you sitting in front of me, I'm wondering, how is the consolation, like going out with you, hanging out in general, as soon as you are just like among other people. And so I can very much imagine how the family get-togethers went, like when you met her family and the other way around, especially when you mention that they're very much alike. So that you blended in 100% and that you felt the same energy, and makes me really happy that you have that, and that you're able to share this. This is amazing.
I think for me is the first time in my life that I can share this type of humor with someone, and that is I always want to find something like that, but I can be me with my humor, with my customs, with with everything.
She has a lot of costumes.
Yeah.
Or like plural. Okay, this isn't his only costume related incident.
Yeah, no, but this goofy humor, that is a part. Obviously, we have a lot of more parts in our relationship, but it's something that talk about us in a groups, in social part. For give some example, and I love that because it's difficult find that, and I don't know, it's something cultural, but maybe women here are more delicate or more specific humor.
You're not quite as goofy and sick.
Yeah, I never find someone that obviously exists. But
She's out there. Just don't find her.
I know that it's out there, but I never meet someone like Michelle in this aspect, and for me was very great to find her and can share that with her. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that's like the best part of our relationship is just this like shared side that just feels like we've like met our match in terms of like who can make the biggest clown out of themselves in the evening. Not that like we like attention or something, but yeah, that's like I think just something that I'm so grateful for is that like we just really share that kind of aspect of ourselves, and it's really fun because like as I'm sure you've experienced, like having so many like cultural differences where you're just like, how do you not understand this simple thing that like everyone from my hometown would understand, or like these things, like that's something that we can always like it just comes so naturally and we never have to like try.
Even we work a lot in that because it's not just the first part that we was dating and we was joking. We try to make all the time different things. We try to put a lot energy for continue being like that. We don't want to just sit in front of the TV and fall in the routine, and because for us that is unacceptable.
Yeah.
We create these spaces for be creative, for make a lot of new things. So we put a lot of energy in that.
Yeah, I would say that's a strength of his is like I know that life will never be stale with him. Like he's always doing little activities or like little cute demonstrations of his love. But yeah, no, I think that's something we both like. It's really important to put effort into is like maintaining that like energy that can sometimes fade after the beginning of a relationship.
Do you have any tips, especially on this, like how to, because I mean, it's also totally normal. So for everyone who's listening or watching, don't get me wrong, that obviously in the beginning, you're in the honeymoon phase, which is amazing. But then eventually you have the phase where you really get to know each other. And this is when you usually see if this is the perfect fit and if this is a long-term relationship. And keeping the relationship, I think interesting would be the right word in that scenario and that on that topic, is not always so easy because as you've just mentioned, like it's very easy to fall into routine. It's very easy, like as individuals having your own things going on. You might also need, at least speaking out of my experience, you might need some you time as well. So how do you blend that into your relationship, making sure that you don't fall into that routine and that you keep things interesting?
I mean, I think like where your intentionality and where your desires are, like everything's gonna follow that. So like if it's your intention that like, oh, I really want like that we never just take the other for granted and like let this go stale, like you're probably not going to like just get in a routine and watch TV every night. I mean, I love TV, don't get me wrong, but like you're probably not going to do that because like that's where your desire is. So you're gonna like put your energy and your effort behind that. I think it's like, yeah, just being like very conscientious and intentional.
Yeah, no, and I try to don't think about Michelle like she's my girlfriend and I don't have to do anything. I try to just every day surprise her with some funny or cute.
Or like so silly and stupid, but like
Yeah,
thoughtful.
but
That's
just try her like I'm dating with her.
yeah.
Is my goal with that. Is try to make our space in the middle of the day for make something talk about that. That for example, this day we're going to take for us, take that day or make a specific super dates that we have program. And yeah, we always talk about that because was a important thing about us. I explained her my need that our relationship have to be like that and she'll have the same feeling. So we agree that we're going to make plans for not being the routine and make a lot of things intentional.
Yeah. No, I feel like you really bring that to our relationship. Like, I really think like Danny treats me like there's like this like line of men waiting out the door for me at like all given moments, and he has to like win over my heart. And like he genuinely like believes that in his heart. Like we walk into someone, he's like, nobody look at her. I know she's gorgeous, but no one like no one's looking at me. Like there's no line of men on my door. But like he's like convinced himself, and so he always just like
That sounds like I am
yeah, it sounds like you're jealous. That's actually not the case. But he just like he treats me like he can lose me at any given moment, which is like so nice. Also not true, but like don't tell him because like he just puts so much effort into
but that was a joke, you know?
what
That I can lose you.
that you can't lose me. Okay.
Yeah, but no, I try to make her feel she feels special all the time, and I know she's beautiful, and I know it's a lot of people is interested in her. I know,
No one.
yeah, it's a lot of people, all the people. So I try to make feel she feels special, and I don't know, I like it. I like that dynamic making things for surprise her because she's a person and I think that is a cultural thing
Yeah.
that Americans always make a big celebration for everything. So I just give a little surprise to her and she's so happy and she say, "Oh my god, that is the best thing that happened ever." And that made me feel great too. Like wow, I am so good. Like a boyfriend too. So I like her emotions when she's so happy and I like to how she smile and how she laughing. So it's for me too.
But he really looks for every opportunity. Like literally the first day of spring, I walk into the room and he scares the crap out of me by like blasting this confetti cannon. And there's like all of these little decorations over and he's like, happy first day of spring. And it's because it's not a big enough day to celebrate, but like he does. He like really looks for the cute little opportunities to like make something festive. Like it's precious.
Yeah.
So you don't take each other for granted.
Yeah.
And every day, I feel like every day is a happy day for you, or you put you put a smile on to each other's faces, even though if the day might not be the best one, because we all have bad days someday, that you support each other and yeah, that you make it special or you make each other feel special as well. I think that summarizes it very well.
Yes, that was very well articulated.
Yeah. She's better than
Yeah, you took what we said like 30 minutes and you made it into like the only content that we actually shared. Way to go. That's why you're
No, but we all need the details. We all need the details you've just shared with us. I love the first day of spring, surprise, confetti, party, which I've never heard before, obviously, because it's a very, very you thing, and I just love that. I just love that you have that going on for you, and yeah, that you celebrate life the way you do, and even though if we're not sitting together in person, but it's quite obvious that you do that, which I really appreciate, and I wish I don't know, I wish there would be more out there like you, just taking it not too serious, but just be yourself and stop worrying about what others might think and supporting each other the way you support each other. I think that's what I feel when talking to you and when seeing you together. I have another question for you because I'm not quite sure if I am right with my assumption. This is why I'm going to ask you. You are not planning very much ahead, do you? You are not a big planner, so you take it one step at a time, or what's your approach?
I'm actually like a major planner.
Yeah, no, we start not making plans
Yeah.
because I think we don't know in what moment that can be end.
For sure.
Yeah.
I could have kind of left.
But now we are living together and we are very organized with a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that's actually this is something I really notice is like a cultural difference is like, I think where I come from, it's very popular to have like, your 10-year plan or your 5-year plan. And so it's really important to like sit down and have those conversations of like, okay, what age do you want to get married? Do you want to have kids? If you do, what age do you want to get married? What age do you want to have kids? Like, what do you want your life to look like? And when I like brought all of that to Danny, you could tell that it was like not a conversation that he was used to having. And like, that's just like so standard with my friends and like in my circles. And so I don't know whether that's like because of where I'm from or just like in the circles that I surrounded myself with. But like, it's just very common that like, exactly when you want to like take each step, when you want to do each thing. And so he's kind of like helped me like chill out a little bit with that. But we definitely, at least I definitely make plans and then march into his meetings and let him know what the next 5 years of his life are going to look like. So he's on board. But yeah, no, we definitely plan things.
No, and I understand that part of her, and I try to be available to to respect her space, because sometimes she wants to be in more not serious relationship, and after she showed me that she really wants to something more formal, so I proposed her, and
Yeah,
but
not proposed to me. What do you mean by proposed?
they ask if you want to be my girlfriend.
Oh yes, yeah.
Sorry.
But not to marry.
Yeah. No,
Like-
so I going to check how is her feelings, and I am viable with go with her in the same way, but I know she's more like that, like in steps, and I just try to figure out in what moment we are.
You're so flexible. I always have a rigid idea and then I'm just changing it and he's just kind of riding the wave. So he's kind of pulling the team on his.
But yeah, no, we have a lot of plans right now, and again, we are living together now. Is a big step.
Yeah.
Obviously, you are living together right now as a couple, which is a new scenario for you, new setting. But you take care of yourself as well, of yourself also, of your businesses and of your individual personality. So let's phrase it like this.
Yeah, that's really important to me. That's been like I think he's also very independent, but I think like we run into a lot of like individualism where I come from versus like collectivism where he comes from a lot. But I do think that is something we both value is like kind of filling our own cup, and like we both are pretty like independent, self-sufficient people, so we both kind of have our own like hobbies and interests in like little areas that are important to us. And like I think something we've been learning like living together is how to like be intentional about like that time and then be intentional about like quality time, because when you're dating it's just like kind of anytime you're together it can be quality time versus like you move in together and it's like you need to like map in your individual time, because like if he's sitting there looking all cute on the couch, like why am I gonna go read or journal by myself? Like he needs to be held in my big strong arms. So it's like we gotta like plan that out. Like, okay, no, I need to like take time for myself today because we're gonna have like this intentional time tomorrow. That's been like really.
For me in this aspect, I have to learn a lot, because how Michelle said, we are a collectivist culture. So when
like collectivistic
culture, so when we are in in a relationship, it's like it's just one person, and always was very difficult for me understand that is something that I can deal with that, and always was like that, like you just is one person and you have the same goals, and with Michelle I start to think in me like a person, and that is more easy for our relationship, because I can trade myself if I am like that, like for me it's very important make the thing that I want to do and share my time with her, but continue be me. And in Latin America sometimes this line is difficult to to see in a relationship. So I learned that with Michelle. I think it's very positive about her culture and her thoughts. So that's great.
I think on that aspect, the German culture is quite similar to the one in the US.
Yeah.
So we are also prioritizing individualism a lot, like that you have your own little space to grow. Why else? This is also the experience I've made, which I think is very interesting. Not with Nacho, at least that's not the case in our relationship anymore, but in other relationships here in Argentina, that it's more like it's us.
Yeah.
So if they talk, it's like, oh, we or us rather than I. It's just like, the wording you hear, the way they talk, the way they present themselves. And it's super, super interesting in my opinion. But I personally, I'm also a huge fan of having my own little thing going on and then matching that with Nacho's little bubble, and then we have our space, like the space of him, the space of me, and then we match it. But it's not like just one. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I would like to slowly get to an end of this conversation, of this podcast episode. I've really, really enjoyed it. One last question I would like to ask you guys, and maybe we're going to repeat ourselves. Maybe you've mentioned that throughout the conversation already, because you gave a lot of advice, a lot of tips, which I really, really appreciate. But if you could share one advice with everyone who's listening and or watching right now, what would that be?
Yeah, I think for us, make the communication is very important. No matter if in English or Spanish, if you have questions, you have to ask and ask and ask again. In being a intercultural relationship, give you the space to ask more because maybe you understand something how you think that it is, but it's not for the other person. So my advice is don't be scared for ask and ask again because we are from different worlds. Everyone look the world different. Even a simple word can be something different for the other. It's just that it's working in the communication and ask all the doubts that you have and obviously have patience with the other because we're coming from different sides and obviously the most important is have the intention to be with the other. But if you have the intention, you don't have problem to ask all the doubts that you have and the other person in answer. What about you thinking? Yeah.
Well, oh gosh, I feel like I shouldn't be giving anyone advice, but I'll say what I've learned, just being in a relationship with someone that's from a different part of the world. Then I think there's just so much that feels obvious if you're interacting with someone who's from a super different place. So there's some reason that you feel oh, I can understand that they're gonna have a really different perspective than I am, but that doesn't mean that they're less moral or that their perspective is less valuable than mine. And I feel I almost have so much less grace with people from my own culture. And when I dated in my own culture, someone could just make one little comment or just do one little action that I would let myself assume that I know who they are or I know who they would be as a partner and I don't want that or I do want that. Whereas something that I feel you're forced to, if you're in an intercultural relationship, is to just suspend all of your assumptions until you really know, and to take the extra step to be what did you mean by that seemingly very offensive sentence that you said? And most of the time it wasn't actually intended that way, or I feel it's just so much easier to have an understanding and a grace of oh, this person grew up in completely different society than I did. Who am I to know what's right and what's wrong? And it's a lot easier to have this open mind. And so I wish that I could almost have well, not really because it all worked out, but I wish I could give my old self that open mind, just when meeting people and engaging in relationships romantically and such. Oh, this is Chile. You're gonna see the cute little pup here. Oh, that good.
So, what's her name? Chile?
Chuletas, pork chops.
Chuleta.
Oh no, that was so necessary.
That was great.
That was really so it's a really intercultural mix. We've got American, we are North American, we've got Colombian, we've got Argentine, all in the same households.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 16.
Oh, grandpa.
He's a grandpa. He's got the energy of a much younger man.
No.
He's over big.
Okay, that's my sign to get a dog as well. Not that we're settled in Buenos Aires and that we're gonna stay here for a couple of years.
Oh yes, definitely. I feel this is a very dog thing.
Yeah.
That's a what? Sorry,
It's It's a very like dog friendly city, I feel like.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you see all the dog walkers,
Yeah.
and I mean, we're living close to a dog park here, only 2 blocks. It's crazy, and I just love to walk through it and to watch the dogs playing. And there's just so many. It's just incredible. Wouldn't be like this in Germany. So in Germany, it's quite difficult to find an apartment if you have an animal.
It is hard to find a place to live, I will say. That was an obstacle, but they're so cute. So what can we do?
He's super adorable. Bueno, guys, thank you so much for sharing your story today. Again, really loved our conversation. If it's okay for you or for you, Michelle, if I'm going to link your Instagram account in the side note as well as in the description of the video. So
we actually have a shared Instagram now that we have 0 posts on. So we're going to post on it after this so that it's interesting to follow. But it might be...
Give your Instagram out.
Oh, yeah, maybe both. See which one they like more. But it's the same cow profile picture. So it's like you get a little bit of that zest.
Perfect. So I'm going to link both profiles then for everyone who is listening or watching right now, that they'll be able to connect with you directly. Maybe they have a similar background story, because the experience I've made is that even though obviously we're all different, but as soon as at least the background is very similar, it's easy to connect and also to exchange information when it comes to paperwork and whatever obstacles there are in an intercultural relationship. And it just makes it easier also to navigate through the relationship, because not everything, I wish it would be like that, but the experience I've made over 10 years is just like not everything is sunshine and flowers. So there might just be situations in which you have to figure out things, especially when it comes to visa situations and stuff like that. So maybe it's going to help the one or the other who's listening to your story right now and who just wants to connect. I think you guys are quite an open book. And just contact them.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, you're so sweet and empathetic, and I like feel so invested in this conversation. So thank you so much for your like intentionality and your energy, and for being willing to talk to us, even though we have no skills or expertise in anything.
Don't say that. That's not true.
Well, not that we've talked about here. I don't know.
It's our first podcast in English. So
Or Spanish. We
Yeah.
haven't done any podcasts.
we have a lot to share. So
I think we're just doing. I love this.
So the next podcast will be in Spanish.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I got like
Thank you. I appreciate that.
beyond the disadvantage.
Thank you so much for watching and or for listening to today's podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what I'm doing, please rate the podcast wherever you're listening to it with 5 stars. In case you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. And I have a little announcement I would like to share with you. One topic I frequently get asked about is the topic of identity crisis. So in case you've moved abroad, you most likely know how it feels like to feel like a different person you used to be in your home country or wherever you lived before. This comes with a lot of challenges, and we're going to tackle those challenges together in a free workshop. You're more than welcome to join. Just click the first link in the side note or in the description of the video, and you will get all information as soon as possible. With this being said, have a lovely morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are right now, and take care. Bye.